Hello. Um, we are back at it again. Um, I just needed a couple days. Uh, it's been a bit of a time, but enough about me. Um, let's get into the video here, right? Um, I think it has not been a super easy time for you either. Um, I think you felt that you've been being tested. Your patience being tested, uh, your resilience, your character even being tested, right? Just to kind of see if you would you would fall, you would crumble, you would stoop to other people's level, right? Things like that. Um, but I also see you haven't, right? At least not fully. Um, Even if you've slipped up in some way, you've found your way back, right? Um, you found your way back to kind of ascending, right? Um, you've come out of this on the other side stronger, right? Um, but this, yeah, you've definitely felt tested and definitely felt tested, definitely felt like yeah, just there's been a lot. There's been a lot. Um, a lot of things trying to get under your skin, right? And they probably did. I would guess they probably did because we're people, right? Um, things get under our skin, and it's what we do, right? When things get under our skin, right? And that looks different for different people, right? People have different ways of dealing with that. Some people just disconnect, walk away, right? Um, some people will stand up for themselves and kind of saying put someone in their place kind of it's the truth, but it has kind of a negative connotation to it, I suppose. But sometimes people deserve that. Sometimes people need that, right? Um, the thing is, at the end of the day, you're trying to get someone to understand what's actually happening, right? Understand um, these like tests and things, right? Even if it's not necessarily a relationship, right? You're trying to get yourself and something else, some other situation, um, or another person to understand what's going on inside of you, right? Um, that it is getting under your skin, that you are being drained, that you are being exhausted, right? Um, trying to see your perspective as well. Um, because it is just a fact that a lot of people have an immense amount of trouble seeing another person's perspective, right? Um, yeah, a lot of people have immense trouble doing that. Especially a perspective that is different from their own, right? A perspective that is different from their own. People have a lot of trouble holding space for that, or even looking at that, or thinking about it, like, because they're so held on to their beliefs that they can't allow themselves to think about another, even because, well, theirs is right. Why would they think about anything else, right? I think this may be people with differing opinions, right? People who have gotten under your skin in a way of just closed-minded people, right? Closed-minded people. And I think lately you've probably been a little bit more vocal about that and pointing that out, even if it isn't to the person, right? You've been willing to express that to people you actually admire and trust, right? You've been willing to say that, you know, speak about what you believe, and right, you can understand how people get to the place that they are, but it doesn't mean you have to accept it or say that it's okay, right? 808, as I look up there. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and pull some tarot now, along with those cards. Just see what comes out. But yeah, this has been a very difficult time for you. It has been testing your patience, your kindness, your limits, I would say. That is a lot. Okay. Yeah, we'll go with it and walk through it. First two cards, Ace of Wands in reverse and Ten of Swords. I think it's really interesting. The Ten of Swords is usually about a mental trapping, right? But in this deck specifically, yeah, it talks about the end of a struggle. The end of a struggle, which is very interesting because a lot of struggle that we have within ourselves around our thoughts, right? It is self-created. It is like, it is our reaction to other people, right? It is our willingness to still be around people that trigger those things, and it can also just be our inability to look at where those things come from and why they happen, right? There's some things that are just like, that will always take you off, that will always trigger you, right? Because it's part of who you are, right? Like, for me, people who are close-minded, right? Uh, Zealots kind of thing. People who like to sit in echo chambers, right? Um, Unable to see other perspectives, unable to explore how other people see the world, right? Because they're so stuck in what they believe and think that what they believe is true and the only way to see the world, right? That kind of zealot mindset, that is something that will always piss me off. And there's nothing I could do about that, and there's nothing I would want to do about that either, right? The thing is, with the Ten of Swords, you have to know, right? You have to understand if this is something, this may sound strange, but something that you would want to trigger you, right? If it's something that you actually don't like, if it's something that you actually don't like or admire or whatever this is, let's just go with people, because that's what I'm best at explaining, and you can apply it to whatever. All right, you can apply it to your situation, whatever. Like, if someone is that closed-minded type of person, right, and you feel that, I would want to be triggered by that, because that is a signal. Oh, I don't like this person because of how they think, right? I don't like how this person thinks. I don't like who they are mentally, right? And that's very important for me, and any person I have in my life, right? It's very important for me. So I don't want to get rid of that trigger, right? The point of like healing and even like therapy and stuff, it's not to get rid, it's not to be this like invincible stone cold, like solid rock, right? It's to understand yourself, right? It's to understand yourself and figure out why you feel the ways that you do, right? And why certain things touch you in the way that they do, right? Why certain things trigger certain things inside of you, and where that all comes from. And what I see in the rest of this is, I think you've been doing that. You know, you've been resting. You've been looking at yourself. You've been building this kind of confidence in who you are, right? And you're looking towards the future and seeing how good it can really be, right? You're seeing how amazing I think you are. You're seeing how amazing you are, and you're realizing that the way you feel about things, the things that trigger you, like, they were never the problem, right? They, like, you weren't the problem. It was just the people that you were around. It is really interesting. I just made that connection now of like, I like to be around people that are open-minded, that are willing to take in other perspectives, that are willing to look at all different walks of life and be respectful of them, right? And to a real degree, that is also an echo chamber, right? People like to be around people that are like them. That is human nature. That's something we've evolved to survive, right? I think the real point is to believe in something good, right? To believe in something good that helps you, that is kind to others, that isn't limiting to others, right? Because here's the thing, right? I'm not saying, I've never had the idea that I couldn't be friends with someone who is a devout Christian, who is a devout Buddhist, who is a devout, right? I've never had that idea. But they have to not want to push that belief on every single person that they meet, right? They have to not, like, they can hold their beliefs, but they should not be trying to make their beliefs others, like other people's beliefs as well. And I think that is the thing, right? You have to realize what the root of something is, right? Because I could look at someone who is a devout Christian and immediately assume that they think their belief is absolute and that they could only ever be friends with people who are also that, right? And sometimes you see that, right? Sometimes you actually see that in people. And they show it. They wear it on their sleeves with pride. Which is just that, pride, which is a sin in their religion, which is funny, I would say. But yeah. The world is a funny place, and people are filled with paradoxes, and it is an interesting place. You're gonna make it. You're gonna make it. I think you already have, in a real sense, already made it. You're putting in the effort. You're doing the work. You probably feel a little left out in the cold. Probably feel like you aren't really fitting in where you're at, and that's for a reason, right? Because you don't want to be there, right? Because you don't want to be there. Yeah. I'm gonna leave this one here. I appreciate you sticking around, and see you in the next one.